The new fourth chapter is really very interesting and you could say the scariest. Toward the end, it gets more and more incomprehensible, but also more interesting. But what happened in the fourth chapter of Poppy Playtime? Where did Huggy Wuggy come from, and did Kissy Missy really die? What now awaits Poppy, Prototype, and the protagonist? Let's try to go back a little bit and figure out everything that happened in order. Harley Sawyer became the most dangerous enemy we met in the whole game. After going through the army of bodies he controls, we were able to get to Harley Sawyer's system and destroy it. After that, we pick up a new hand called Omni Hand. This hand allows us to gain control of the most important systems in the Playtime co-build. In particular, thanks to this hand, we were able to open and repair the electrical panel in Safe Haven, as well as release gas from the pipes so that the explosives could be successfully detonated. After that, events began to unfold too quick. Just like Poppy said, Harley Sawyer was very important to Prototype's plans. He represented great importance, which is why the Doctor remained alive all this time. In the final part of the chapter, we can find some tapes of Harley Sawyer's conversations with Leith Pierre, Prototype. If we're talking about the head of Playtime Co.'s innovation department, Harley Sawyer needed him because without his involvement, the company wouldn't have been able to continue experimenting on humans. In fact, Prototype needed Harley Sawyer for a similar reason. With the tape of Harley Sawyer and Prototype talking, we can understand that Prototype is not happy to work with Harley Sawyer and let the mad scientist live. However, Harley Sawyer explicitly says that if he's still alive, he's the best candidate to carry out whatever plan Prototype has in mind. Prototype did not dispute this opinion in any way, but noted that Harley Sawyer would die as soon as he was no longer useful. Prototype required Harley Sawyer to work faster. I'm sure you have the same question I pondered recently. What plan did Prototype come up, and why would he want Harley Sawyer's work? Before I answer that question, I suggest going back a few more steps. I want to remind you of the goal we had in mind. Beyond defeating Harley Sawyer and Prototype and destroying the Playtime Cobra Complex, in Chapter 4, we got a clear answer to the question of what happened to the orphans at Playcare Orphan during Hour of Joy. Poppy told us that they were definitely alive and were at Prototype's place. Our goal was to rescue the surviving orphan. After the events of Chapter 4, we have reason to distrust her actions are suspicious. Harley Sawyer has told us about her involvement in Hour of Joy as well. On the tape at the end of the chapter, Poppy herself admitted that she worked together with Prototype. But in my opinion, this fact makes us realize that Poppy is the one who has reliable information about the fate of the orphan. Harley Sawyer definitely played a very important role in Prototype's plan. After we killed Harley Sawyer, Prototype clearly became enraged and went on the offensive. We know that Prototype has high intelligence and cognitive abilities, unlike most other experiments. Such decisive action on his part can only mean one thing: the death of Harley Sawyer has jeopardized all of Prototype's plan. That being said, Prototype seemingly had everything he needed to realize any of his plan. Most of the toys serve him. He controls the entire Playtime Corner complex, and no one can defeat him in a direct confrontation. Prototype possessed all the powers he could possibly have. That means he needed a mind. I'm sure Prototype's plan was to make the surviving orphans from Playcare into perfect experiments like himself. In the final, we learn the reason why Prototype made all the experiments stay inside the Playtime Co-complex when they had already achieved complete freedom. Prototype is afraid that outside, all the living toys will be caught and taken into custody but not killed. Prototype is sure that if all the experiments demonstrate themselves to all mankind, new companies will replace the destroyed Playtime Co. and will want to repeat all these horrors with new children. The motivation to prevent such events sounds noble, but Prototype is willing to do anything to realize his plans. To avoid such events, he needs to take control of at least one state or states that can guarantee the protection of all the experiments and whatever is left of Playtime Co. But Prototype isn't that strong. He can't do it alone with the forces he has. So, he decides to get additional powers the way Dr. Harley Sawyer once suggested for Playtime Co. He decided to have Dr. Harley Sawyer turn the surviving children not into mindless creatures like Yarnaby or Boxy Boo, but into super experiments like himself. I have a second theory about this as well. What if Prototype was never actually able to absorb other living beings on his own? It occurred to me that the absorption of other creatures by Prototype is also a result of Harley Sawyer. All this time, Harley Sawyer has been with Prototype and working for him. It is likely that Mommy Longlegs and Catnap became part of Prototype because of Harley Sawyer's efforts. Another question came to my mind at this point. When exactly was the conversation between Harley Sawyer and Prototype recorded? When exactly did Prototype demand that Harley Sawyer speed up? I think this tape was recorded around the time of the first or second chapter of Poppy Playtime, which is quite recently. The reason for speeding them up was the main character's arrival at the Playtime Co-complex to solve all the secrets of the building and find a certain dead man the main character loved. I think that for all of Harley Sawyer's powers of manipulation, he didn't just say that line about the loved one the protagonist lost here. Perhaps Prototype wasn't yet capable of absorbing people in large experiments at the time of the protagonist's arrival at the complex. So Harley Sawyer sped up and he was able to give Prototype the ability to assimilate Mommy Longlegs and Catnap. It seems to me that Prototype's ultimate goal then remains to absorb all the surviving orphans to gain as much power and intelligence as possible. But now Harley Sawyer is dead, and it's not entirely clear to us if he had time to complete his work with Prototype. It looks like he has the ability to absorb people, because Prototype is going to surface with the existing results. I'm sure Poppy misunderstood him when he suggested that she return home. He didn't mean that he would return Poppy to her box. He meant that they would go free, as she had wanted a long time ago. At this point, Poppy escapes, and Prototype tries to kill us and Kissy Missy. Kissy Missy saves us at the last moment, but gets caught in the collapse. We find ourselves in a strange room that looks like a garden. Leith Pierre's voice on the tape seems to see us, and comments on the terrible situation we are in. At this moment, Huggy Wuggy appears in front of us. The scars from the fall are present on his body. He didn't die in the first chapter as we suspected. We have been getting hints that Huggy is alive up to this point. For example, Mob Entertainment tweeted a line Huggy got away in a remade version of the Jingle Bells song. I think his appearance carries symbolism. We started this adventure alone with him, and now we're back to being one-on-one against him. Although, with all that's happened, Huggy now seems like a minor threat. How do you feel about that? What does the appearance of Huggy Wuggy mean? Where did Poppy run off to? What will Prototype do? Write your theories in the comments and I'll be sure to read them. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Good luck everyone, and bye-bye. I don't think Prototype is going to let toys like Huggy Wuggy live. Creatures with reduced intelligence would easily fall into the hands of other scientists, and the experiments would start from the beginning. Huggy Wuggy is most likely here because Prototype tries to kill him as well as the protagonist and Kissy Missy. This is going to sound weird, but it's likely that we can team up with Huggy Wuggy to get out of this strange room and get to Prototype. We have almost no allies left, but we need help for the final battle with Prototype. Huggy Wuggy will easily be able to follow us, as he's been making his way into the same vents we've been navigating. In doing so, he will be able to distract monsters on himself while we rescue children and fix mechanisms. How do you feel about that? What does the appearance of Huggy Wuggy mean? Where did Poppy run off to? What will Prototype do? Write your theories in the comments and I'll be sure to read them. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Good luck everyone, and bye-bye.